It's insane how green of a city this is. Oh my god. Have a look at this. Can you imagine having one of those mushroom hot pots from Yunnan like we had not too long ago and then coming here?
We are the only ones who are sitting in a direct sun, but we don't have an umbrella.
Typical white Europeans. That wasn't very enjoyable. Hello everybody and welcome back to Nanjing, China. Today, taking a boat tour on the Qinhuai River. Welcome to the Qinhuai River. Hello. Liew. Wow, look at this. Beautiful boat. Ni hao. Wow, old school. Proper old school boat. Yeah. We're gonna be the we're gonna be the cool people. The back of the boat today. Wow, I'm excited for this.
Me too. Very surprising that the benches are not attached to the floor.
Yeah.
You can move them.
You can move the benches. Wow. Have a look at this. Hello. Ni hao. People are loading onto the boat. It seems to be a very popular activity indeed to do. Peak tourist season right now, as many of you guys know, during the summer holidays. It is scorching, so hot right now, like close to 40, same as the last time that we were exploring here. And I think we're already leaving. Very time efficient.
Yeah, we're already leaving. And by the way, usually I believe it is recommended to do this type of a tour during the nighttime because the entire river is illuminated. But last night we tried to get a boat and there were no boats running after, I believe, 4 p.m. So today we are running on like safe version basically because yeah, we didn't want to miss out on this boat experience. And we are already leaving. This little harbor here seems to be employing loads and loads of people. I don't know, just from here I can probably see 20 or so people, which is crazy, but I suppose there's a lot of little boats, so with all of the boats you need also a lot of people, I suppose.
From here you have a nice view onto the porcelain tower of Nanjing, which we also really do want to visit. But I think it closes quite early on because it is a place of worship. So this tower itself is actually a temple. And they turned the temple into like a tourist viewing deck or an observatory as well. And there's loads of ruins surrounding it, so that will be an interesting place maybe to check out. There's plenty of really historical and wonderful places here in Nanjing, and this is one of the must-do things I think in this city, and I can see why already. It's absolutely scenic and beautiful.
Picking the last row on this boat, by the way, was not a smart idea. We're now sitting in the sun.
Directly in the sun.
I was thinking we were gonna go that way so that we would have been in the shade, but I think there's some like twists and turns on the river, so it will just probably be like a short stretch that we're sitting directly in the sun. Anyway, don't make the same mistakes as we do, it's quite hot. But the boat is going quite slow because obviously it's a very sort of traditional type of boat, so you're not going super fast. And here now you can see the reason why yesterday's tour actually fell out. It said on the pier that it was cancelled due to flooding, and all of the trees here seem to be standing way deeper in the water than they usually would. So maybe that is accurate, because yesterday I was like, it's 40 degrees and sunshine, like how can there be possibly any flooding? And it didn't rain at all. But yeah, it seems to be the case that there is some flooding going on. And here's even a young gentleman fishing at the side of the river right now. Really curious to... Oh, there's another person fishing. So there must be some edible fish in this river as well. I would really like to know what kind of fish you can find here. There's also an announcement going, but that announcement of course is in Chinese and not in English, so we have no idea what they're actually saying at all. We're like maybe 15 minutes in and we're currently turning around in the middle of the river. Now I'm really wondering if that is it already, or if we are just gonna go the other way, because I saw some boats floating that way from the pier. Maybe they're just sort of doing a little bit of a spin, but wow, at least we're finally not in the sun anymore, thank God. This was my plan all along. Over there you can see some of the Chinese people are opening umbrellas, so they're not sitting in the direct sun. But they're also not gonna have the view then if they open the umbrellas inside of the boat. There is an AC running here in the back, by the way, so it's not like scorching hot. I just think it's when you're sitting in the direct sun, it's a bit, you know. But you have absolutely stunning views onto the city wall of Nanjing from here. And I just, I don't know, I really just hope that that was not it already. Because it was like 60 yuan per person, which is not, 60 RMB per person, which is not a crazy amount of money. I believe it's like maybe 8 euro or something like that. It's not a crazy amount, but I do think that I read online that it's like a 2-hour type of thing, so I'm actually not sure. Maybe we took the wrong boat. By the way, the tour is not over yet. We were just sort of floating in a little circle, I want to say, in order to go down the river this way, which is really nice so far. And you can really see how high the water actually is. In some points it's even higher than the little sort of pier that you have on the sides. And then usually during the night times, all of this, what you can see here, would probably be illuminated and really nice to look at. Unfortunately, we're not gonna experience that because the nighttime tours just don't seem to be happening at the moment. But yeah, I'm really curious now what else we're gonna see. By the way, it is getting quite hot in here. Luke just said that it kind of feels like we are in a little bit of a greenhouse situation or something like that because of the windows. And yeah, it is hot. It's not. I feel like it's not as hot as it is outside. Though. Yeah, it is a little bit cooler.
Yeah. The AC is doing something. Not much, but it's doing something. The views, though, make up for the whole experience. The view of the Gate of China here, absolutely unreal.
Yeah, and all along the river you have these little pavilions as well, where some uncles and aunties are coming together to play some games. Some people are fishing on the side of the road as well. So I feel like either that girl over there is hitting me with her fan as well, or the AC picked up a little bit. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm starting to like hallucinate because of the heat or something. I don't know. We turned around again, so the tour is actually not crazy long. It's maybe like 30 minutes, if even 30 minutes, something like that, and we're back to sitting in the sun. And yeah, people again, everybody's opening their umbrella. We are the only ones who are sitting in a direct sun, but we don't have an umbrella.
Typical white Europeans, we're just like, oh yeah, the sun's okay, yeah, it's not too bad, just direct sun. Try and get a bit of a tan or whatever. I think we need to invest in umbrellas for the sun while being here.
You're also not getting a tan if you have the windows, because I think the UV light or the UV rays that are
you're just getting burnt.
That are doing the tan is they're basically getting filtered out by glass, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be having really old information here. I don't know. But yeah, I'm happy to be actually getting off of the boat.
Bye bye. Photo? Yeah, sure. Selfie.
谢谢，再来一张吧。谢谢。
Okay. Nice one. Bye bye. Right, so after roughly a quick, I'd say around 20-25 minutes that we were on that boat, I'm gonna be totally honest with you. Because that's what we do here. We're as transparent as possible, and we're not going to hype up something that doesn't necessarily deserve the hype. That wasn't very enjoyable, and it just has to do, I think, with a couple of factors. So one of them is the extreme heat. It's absolutely crazy hot, and that is something that we chose to experience because, well, this is a highly recommended thing to do. It's also very, very popular. As you can see, there's like literally hundreds of tourists. But yeah, it just, you basically go on the boat for around 200 meters or so, circle back around, and then cover the same 200 meters as where you started from. So it's kind of just a very brief little look at the river that you can get by walking along the river. The inside of the boat is crammed full of people, and it's just exceptionally hot. Obviously, we would have a much better experience if we did it at night time, but unfortunately, they're just not running at night time. So now, I think we need to find somewhere else to maybe get a better viewpoint of the city.
I do think that there's like loads of different wharfs around the city, so maybe we just picked the wrong wharf as well. I saw that there's another one a little bit upstream. I don't know, maybe you get better views or more interesting parts to see there as well, but yeah, for sure would have been more enjoyable during the nighttime, especially when the sun is not so strong anymore, right?
Well, welcome inside of the Great Bao'en Temple. Now this is actually, believe it or not, the tower that I showed you guys from the side of the boat that we were just on. So we decided to come in and actually check it out. Now the last imperial dynasty that ruled here by the Han people was the Ming dynasty from around 1300 to 1600 AD. That is a seriously long time ago. And here and around this beautiful tower temple off in the distance here, you can see some of the remains and ruins from this particular dynasty. Now it is well preserved in a very large air-conditioned room full, obviously, of tourists. It also has a see-through floor as well, where you can see all of these remains. Now this is mostly just the ground or the excavated land that was here during those dynasty times, but nonetheless it's very interesting to actually be so close to such a crazy time period. Just have a look at this. The sheer scale and the absolutely crazy structures that they've managed. I don't even know what this is. This weird white structure that has these beams. I'm sure it's probably something to do with measurements or something.
No, this is the size that this tunnel would have been. So the little white barrels that you see would have been the columns, and then the white structure on the top is basically the roof. So you can imagine what the house or this part of the hall basically would have looked like.
Wow, it's insane to see this and how it contrasts with the modern day. So you have this part here, which is the old, obviously incredibly old part of China, and then you turn the camera around here and look at this. How beautiful is this? I'm blown away. I'm blown away by how well they've managed to put this stuff together.
I'm very happy that the old structures need a constant temperature that is not too hot.
Yes.
I'm also an old structure that needs a constant temperature that is not too hot.
Oh wow, look at this.
All the water features. Yeah, this is probably what this area would have looked like a miniature version of it.
Incredible. I have to say about China, something that is really blowing me away about China. I've never seen a country that is so focused on preserving its national heritage. and showing it in a very beautiful way as well. My home country of Ireland has some places where they showcase the national heritage. Very, very minimalist though, and most of it is actually very much destroyed. But seeing stuff like this, where they've actually made an effort to construct something as beautiful as this area here, or as this general place, this is something else, really.
Oh, you have some of the original decorative stones as well.
Wow, okay. Oh my god, look at that.
You can still see some colors of green and red, some orangey type of colors. Now this could have been maybe a red, but due to sun and UV rays, probably not so red anymore. But you can really imagine what this massive hall must have looked like. Really, really nice.
This, multiply this
by all of this
by 10,000 times and you have the grand and beautiful structure that would have been standing right here. Absolutely mind-blowing. So many unique looking structures as well. I love the designs. It's so intricate. A lot of the stuff that is designed nowadays in the modern world is grey, square buildings, these old sort of drab looking, like almost brutalist type structures that are in Europe, for example. Some of them can be pretty intriguing, but not as beautiful as something like that.
Can you see the decoration that looks like the head of Buddha?
Oh wow.
In the back.
Oh my god.
All individual little lights that make it look like
beautiful.
A head.
Very beautiful actually. Wow.
She didn't realize I was a foreigner. She was just like, oh, this is normal. And then she looked up, she was like, holy smokes.
Wow, look at this. Simply stunning.
Now the stones that we have seen earlier just over there with the beautiful colors, I believe they were fired in chambers like this. It seems to be a fire chamber that is an original model that was excavated, and they used to basically create all of those beautiful ceramic structures, paint them beautifully, and then fire them in one of these large fire chambers. And now this is a replica of what basically the archways would have looked like. And you can see all of the beautiful animals. You have elephants, you have some lions. Up there on the top it looks to be a Hanuman of sorts. Also some, I don't know, this looks maybe like a horse. But yeah, very, very beautiful structures to look at. And they found loads and loads of little artifacts. These ones here seem to be some coins as well. And then of course the original, this is the original rocks after which this arch here was replicated basically. Very, very nice to see. And these types of archways you would find on the large pagodas. In this case it would have been this one here on the 4th or 5th floor, and all of the archways would probably be their own individual decorations, their own versions of what the people back then could basically come up with. Very, very nice to see. And this one here is a stone casket.
Apparently the Sakyamuni Buddha was enshrined in this stone casket, and it was put inside of the actual pagoda, which the pagoda is just outside of here, and you can actually climb up it. I think so, you can anyways. This is absolutely crazy to be able to stand in front of something like this. This is apparently, I think, from the year 1011 or 1011.
Wow. So he was buried in this? Do I understand that correctly? Like,
apparently so, yeah.
Okay. Oh. You can see as well how much calligraphy is on the back and how much work would go into all of these little small, or well, in this case with the casket, large artifacts, which is absolutely crazy to see how advanced the Ming Dynasty already was so far in the past, right? Other cultures at that stage were still sort of digging in the dirt, and I feel like the Ming Dynasty was creating advanced Buddhas out of copper and brick, and making their own ceramics and figuring out how to fire them, how to glaze them, and all of that jazz. That's very advanced for that timeline. Now this one here is a very, very interesting scene. It says that one Italian Jesuit, which is probably this sir here, and the local Buddhists basically had an exchange between Christianity and Buddhism in Nanjing, which apparently was the very, very first confrontation between Christianity and Buddhism, and that happened on the grounds in the territory of Nanjing. Who would have thought?
Oh my god. Have a look at this. This is trippy, to say the least. Can you imagine having one of those mushroom hot pots from Yunnan like we had not too long ago and then coming here? Can you imagine having one of those mushroom hot pots from Yunnan like we had not too long ago and then coming here?
That's what I imagine what the mushroom hot pot looks like if it goes wrong for you in your head. This is what I see.
Oh my god, this is something else. I've never seen something like this. Wow. This is quite literally a giant room, fully illuminated, like almost every square inch illuminated. What a wonderful way to display this stuff here. This is one of the more unique experiences I think that we've had so far. Definitely an interesting way to learn about the history of Nanjing as well.
You also have a reclining Buddha here with a lot of what seems to be monks.
Yep.
Sort of reclining as well. Very interesting to see.
Wow. Okay. So there's two reasons, I guess, why we came in here. One was to learn a little bit about the history of Nanjing. Covered that. That was very beautiful. Incredibly well put together place. The second reason is to climb up this thing and try and get a nice sprawling overview of the city of Nanjing.
I think there might be an easy way to do it or a difficult way to do it. I think you can just go straight to get an elevator, or you can walk.
Oh,
maybe.
Okay. There might be two options, yeah.
I heard a lady say before that there would be an elevator.
All right.
Do you want an elevator or do you want to walk?
I'm cool with either.
Let's just have a look first.
Let's have a look. Yeah. Naomi couldn't have been more wrong about the elevator. So inside this building here, believe it or not, is actually something that's known as the induction relic. Supposedly the first relic to have brought Buddhism to China, I'm assuming. That's at least what the information sort of portrayed. Now, we didn't want to film it for obvious reasons. A very, very sacred piece that definitely doesn't need to be filmed. If you want to see it, come here and check it out for yourself. But what we will film is the potential view that we will get when we climb up here. It looks to be a little bit of climbing.
Yeah. Very hard work. Why is it that every time you want to have a nice view, you have to work for it?
Oh yeah. China is definitely not for beginners. That's for sure. It's something that we learned today, I think. Yeah. Naomi was right. There's an elevator from the second floor that takes you up to the top.
We have made it to the 8th floor, where you get a stunning view all over Nanjing city wall right here, which seems to be the ongoing theme for when you're in Nanjing. Kind of Nanjing city wall is everywhere, I feel like. And then out there you have the modern parts of Nanjing, and down here I believe they're currently building an ancient town, which is probably supposed to open in a few months. There's a lot of stores there that you can already see, but they kind of seem to be still under construction. But loads of people seem to be putting these sort of ribbons here for prayer, I believe, maybe as an offering, something like that. But wow, my god, it's stunning. And it's also, I feel like, a little bit cooler up here. Oh, you can also see the motorway up here, and also how vast Nanjing actually is. That's kind of a little bit the topic that we are struggling with Nanjing. We don't really understand what is where and what is to explore and so on. So like, it's a very, very vast city that is spreading over an extensive territory. So you really have to sort of make a decision where you are going to go and what you are going to see. And I kind of feel like the most historical things seem to be here, and then you also have some green areas and some mountains as well. I believe one of them is called the Purple Mountain. It might be this one here in the distance. And there's, I believe, 1 or 2 other sort of mountain areas that you are allowed to visit. Now up here you also have beautiful decorations and murals going with Buddhas and so on. And you can, by the way, also walk up if you choose to walk up, but we were really happy to be taking the elevator instead of the stairs.
This is unbelievable. The panoramic views are something else. And I again just want to say, I said this in the first video from Nanjing if you guys watched it, but just, it's insane how green of a city this is. Spectacularly green. Very well sort of integrated with the development, and you can see it just over here this way as well, how green it is too. Nearly every direction the nature is preserved amongst the city, and that's an amazing thing to see, and definitely worth noting, because a lot of times cities that are of this scale, even smaller scale cities, they basically just roll through all of the nature and destroy it in the name of creating things like shopping malls and stuff like that. That has not happened here in Nanjing from what I can see, and that's something that I will definitely say. It's a very, very positive impression about this place. This tower is beautiful, and this actual whole situation here of the Great Baoen Temple, I do think it's definitely worth the money, or worth the entrance fee.
Now the 8th floor, by the way, is not the last stop. It's just the last floor that is accessible by elevator. Where currently we walked up 1 staircase, so we're on the 9th floor, and it looks like there might be another floor up. I'm not really sure where that one is going to lead, other than up, of course. Ah, okay, I think you have like a little bit of a viewing gallery up here inside of this giant tower. Now on the 9th floor, it's not open anymore, so you cannot feel the nice wind or anything like that anymore. But the views are staying the same amount of magnificent. Onto the river here, you can see the river boats from up here as well. And of course, in the distance, you see the beautiful skyline of Nanjing in all of its glory and in all of its hotness.